Hello viewers, you're watching Metallogic PMS YouTube channel and I am Monica Bachchan. Today I have a personality who has spent his years in technology developments. I would like to welcome Dr. Mukesh Kumar. Let me introduce you Dr. Mukesh Kumar. Dr. Mukesh Kumar is a director of Field Research and Technology Mission India SRTMI under the aegis of Ministry of Steel, Government of India. He has around 4 decades of experience in metallurgy, oil and gas, technology development, environmental management, sustainable development, and project management in India and abroad. We'd like to welcome you, Dr. Mukesh.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Mukesh, we would like to know from you, like today the global warming is a hot subject. What do you think about the impact on of the iron and steel sector on global warming?
Monica, in case if you see the iron and steel sector, it is considered as one of the largest CO2 emitter, and particularly in India, where we are having CO2 emission level is much higher than other parts. Today we are having an average of around 2.5 to 2.8 tons of carbon dioxide per ton of steel production. Whereas in other countries, it is varying between around 1.3 to 1.8. So India has to take a number of measures to reduce this carbon dioxide emission at a faster pace, so that we are at par with other companies globally and can beat this global warming.
Sir, I read in one of the report that iron and steel sector contributes about 7% of pollution globally, whereas the major share goes from India as well. You like to comment on that?
It's true because, but if you consider in comparison to the India, because 7% it is overall on a global basis, but India is the second largest producer of steel. But if you see our production is only around 110 million ton, in comparison to around 880 million ton produced by China. Then next is Japan. But since in our case, the CO2 emission per ton of steel, as I told you in the first question itself, is much higher than what CO2 emission there is in Japan. So we say yes, India is steel sector in India is becoming one of the largest polluter of this CO2.
Sir, what are the main environmental hazards the industry should focus on to create an image of a responsible corporate?
uh, when any industry today has to survive, he has to focus on the environment as well as on the societal development. These are the two issues. Environment generally affects the surrounding people in the area, and more we will focus on the environmental aspect, more cooperation we can get from the society, and this good relationship between the society and the corporate will help in creating a sustainable development path. Today you must have seen number of projects are there, whereas where this thing social dispute is taking place, and social dispute is taking place because our predecessors have not taken care for the environment, and it has given a message to the society that steel industry or mining industry is a environmental polluter. So that type of image is there. So we have to rectify that image. So a lot of actions has to be taken. And the best way will be we should move towards a zero waste, zero discharge, and zero harm approach. This approach, if adopted by the Indian iron and steel industry, it will create an environment where society will also be happy and industry people will also be happy, and the overall it will be in the interest of the nation.
Sir, I believe you being an expert in technology, you might have identified waste which comes out from iron and steel factories. Let's talk about the solid waste. Uh, so, what are the main solid waste in the iron and steel industry you have identified? Do you think that we can move towards zero waste approach by utilizing these waste within the industry or in some other industry?
One thing you will realize, Monica, is that whatever waste is coming, those waste are coming mainly from the raw material what we are using. So that's why we cannot say that those things are waste. Most of the waste are coming like in an integrated steel plant. It is coming blast furnace sludge, blast furnace dust, BOF sludge, BOF dust, sintering dust, sintering fumes, and sludge. And if you see any integrated steel plant, at least around one third of the land today is occupied by these ponds, tailing ponds, and other things only. These things are such which can be 100% recycled in the plant. That's why earlier people were talking that we should use a principle of 3R, reduce, recycle, reuse, but that concept has been changed. Now it has gone to the 6R. See, reduce, recycle, reuse, refurbish, redesign, and remanufacture. If you cannot use within the plant, you can use it in different sector. Like steel slag is there, it can be used in agriculture for agriculture as a fertilizer. Blast furnace slag is there, it can be 100% utilized in cement manufacturing. And all the dust which are there, they are rich in iron or carbon. They can be back used by briquetting or by micro pelletization into the process itself. So there is nothing which cannot be used. It is our mindset only when we say it is a waste, because waste is a waste till you waste. Otherwise, it is a resource. Only our mindset has to be changed.
So there is a say also, somebody's waste is somebody's treasure.
Yes, I fully agree with you. There are number of plants which are operating just based on the waste only. People have set up the plant outside the integrated steel plant. They are producing steel. They are producing various things. Like agriculture is there. People are doing this thing. Cement plants are there. So it is definitely at one plant it may be a waste, but for other it is a resource. So it has to depend, because you have to take a comprehensive look on the problem.
So what approach industry should adopt to address environmental issues and move towards green operations?
When we say green operation means you have to ensure that there is no harm to my employees, there is no harm to the society, there is no harm to any other people also, any stakeholder who is directly or indirectly connected with my plant. And for that, the first thing is that I have to ensure that my all the liquid discharge, whatever I'm using, that should be made zero. And for that, we have to see how to conserve water, because the water is such a precious commodity nowadays. We have to concentrate on that. Second thing, whatever wastes are coming, once we are recycling those wastes into the plant itself, it means I am minimizing my operating cost also. I am minimizing my raw material cost also. So that will help me itself. Then number thing is coming gaseous pollution. Gaseous pollution in any integrated steel plant in form of the fugitive emissions, because that creates occupational health and safety hazard. Those things are there where advanced technologies have come. We have to ensure that all those things are taken care. And the last is about the heat, because there are number of waste which are generating at a high temperature. And today we are not in a position to utilize heat of those waste. If we start utilizing those heats, then we can produce a good amount of power from that, and we can be self-sufficient also. So as I told in the beginning, we have to take the approach of zero discharge, zero waste, zero harm. The day we approach this, adopt this practice, immediately our plant will be a green plant on which we will also feel proud, and others also will feel proud. And we will not give any room to anyone to make a complaint on this.
So looking into present environmental threats, do you anticipate any major technological shift in time to come in iron and steel making?
Definitely, because as you told in the beginning itself, global warming is a major issue. Global warming is a major issue. And everybody is working on those areas how to minimize CO2 emissions. Somebody have adopted gas-based iron and steel making, but we don't have gas in our plant. Right now, we are looking for the coal gasification, and coal gasification may come as a big game changer in India, but other it may not. Second thing is people are looking for hydrogen. The hydrogen they are considering as a reducing agent, because it is faster also, and it can totally eliminate CO2 emission. But that may take long way, because cost of generating hydrogen itself is much more than the cost of producing this of coke or coal anything. So unless we are in a position to produce hydrogen at an economical level or economical scale, this may take 20 years, 25 years, but we can't wait for 20, 25 years. So
Exactly.
for us, it is there that we have to select some technologies, and mainly on recovering of the heat from every source, converting all the gas wherever we are having, if we are not using, like converting gases into bioethanol. That is also becoming one of the major area. So every if
Mm-hmm.
we start making focus that everything can be utilized into a useful product or useful gas or useful power, then I think we can achieve our goal.
That's great. So, what is the future potential of gas-based in iron and steel making in India?
It is good because government is considering gas-based economy, and government is working on number of projects like Pradhan Mantri Urja Ganga project, where they want to
Yeah.
ensure that gas is supplied to all the regions. And if the gas
Mm-hmm.
is supplied, today we are using coal, like in our DRI plants are there. So there may be a shift
Mm-hmm.
there, that all the coal-based DRI may shift to the gas-based DRI. And once gas-based DRI shift, then our all the major operations like integrated plant, what we are having, a blast furnace and other things, those may not be the preferred route in future. Then DRI may become a
Mm-hmm.
route. But again, it depends on because we don't have gas available with us. Most of our gases are imported. Next question
Right.
is next availability is only the coal gasification gas, means syngas. And if syngas also can play a major role in driving towards this direction. But as far as I see the type of government pressure is there on coal gasification and other things, gas-based iron and steel making is going to make a headway in time to come.
Mukesh, sir, with regards to coal gasification, I like to ask you one thing. Like we had a webinar also on coal gasification where we talked about coal gas in DRI plants. When we say gas in DRI plants, we also mean that there could be a technological change which DRI plants have to adopt uh, so that they can utilize coal gas. Uh, do you think DRI plants will come ahead to use coal gas and do those technological changes at their plant, as in because we have seen the cases that most of the small and medium scale steel plants or DRI plants, they are quite hesitant to change their technologies.
One thing is there because if you see the type of pollution is there in DRI plant, like we generate a lot of dolocha, we generate a lot of fines, and the type of because when we are producing DRI, so those DRI plants have not taken practice of hot charging of DRI into the furnace, so all the heat goes waste. But if we consider it a gas-based DRI making, like a soft furnace is there, Midrex technology is there, energy ion is there, number of technologies are there, soft furnace based technologies. In those technologies, number one, we can minimize our all pollution or environmental issues. And number two, we can charge hot DRI directly into the furnace. And when we are charging hot DRI directly into the furnace, it means we are saving a heat of around 900-degree temperature. So we have to supply only additional heat of around 400 to 500 degree only. So the overall cost of production will go very, very low. So once this type of benefits are there, then I think definitely DRI manufacturers will prefer to go with the gas-based testing because it may be a one-time investment, but the overall operating cost of these things will reduce drastically, and their plant will be
So
more environmentally
I
friendly.
believe they will get ROI in few years after adopting these technologies.
Yes, because maximum maybe as far as I am seeing this thing, it will not be more than 2 to 3 years, and two to
Not
three
more
years,
than 2 to 3 years.
not more
So
than two to
in
three years.
so in 2 to 3 years, they will achieve their ROI in investing into this technology.
Yes.
Because I believe they have to change a kiln and then to utilize coal gas. But sir, another point I would like to ask, like so many countries are going carbon free and they have set their targets that they will not be using carbon in future. Call it a coal or coal gas. So we believe that hydrogen is the future. So the question comes at a cost now, like now we are obviously coal gas has its own advantage, but yes, end of the day people have to invest to adopt this technology, and after few years we will be talking about hydrogen. Then again there has to be some kind of shift and technology which they have to upgrade. uh, so all these costs As in, how do you see the scenario of technological shift and people accepting these technologies as far as technology as and bearing the cost?
One thing is there, Monica, once because what any country who is talking of the hydrogen steel making, they are talking of the period of between 2014 to 2050. Today we are in 2020. It is a long time. Which is it. Second thing coming to once you have told, once we start making gas-based DRI and the type of furnace we use like a vertical shaft furnace. In vertical shaft furnace, anytime you can shift from your gas base to the hydrogen. So that time no further investment may be required. But only one thing we have to keep in mind, the hydrogen reduction is an endothermic reaction. We have to supply heat from external source. So the if you somebody feels that entire coal can be eliminated, it may be very difficult unless you have other alternative means like electrical energy and other things. But electrical energy, if you want to use, it is again indirect CO2 emission only because per megawatt of power you generate a lot of CO2 there also. So once a person shifting from rotary kiln to the shaft based kiln, their plant capacity is increasing. And as and when opportunity is there for shifting towards hydrogen, they can shift very easily on the hydrogen also. So I think this will be a this investment is not going to become waste.
So it's actually really nice, like you have pointed out, if the person is able to change into gas base, he can easily change it to hydrogen also. One thing I like to ask you that to generate that heat through hydrogen, would you also be needing another source of energy uh, to convert hydrogen into some source of energy? As in, would you also be using coal during that time? Or that will be replaced to wind energy or some other energy?
Uh, there are basically two routes where you generate hydrogen. One is by electrolysis of the water that
Mm-hmm.
requires energy. Second is by naphtha that is also requires energy. So it is because if you have large amount of surplus this solar power available there, then you can somewhere use. But then transportation of hydrogen also will be an issue. Like today, we are having caustic soda industry available with us, and when we are producing caustic soda, a lot of hydrogen is developed there as a part of the process itself, and those hydrogens can be utilized there in these areas. So it will depends on where your plant is located. Then transportation of the hydrogen another thing. But today, whether it is a electrolysis of water, whether it is a naphtha-based hydrogen production, in both the process, the cost of hydrogen is much more. What people are working in today's time world across, they are looking out for some alternative process by which they can develop cheap hydrogen. That is the
Oh,
main target.
okay, okay. So last question I would like to ask you. The iron and steel consumes large amount of water for steel production, and often it becomes a reason for social environment conflict. What steps should be taken to minimize water consumption as well as pollution?
Uh, if you see the water consumption in the plant, because it is coming mainly in those areas where we can easily avoid use of water, like coke ovens are there. People are doing coke quenching through water. It most of the places it is getting shifted towards dry quenching, where air is used instead of water, and large amount of water, and that too also a cyanide water. Generation of cyanide water is eliminated. Second thing is coming on the blast furnace side. Blast furnace slag, we are having a lot of slag. Again, we are doing slag quenching with water. There also people have come forward with dry slag granulation plants, where we can do the granulation by air and can utilize that hot air for generating power. Then third is coming steel slag. Again, we are quenching water. So if you see around out of 3.5 cubic meter of water, which is generally used, more than around 1.8 to 2 cubic meter is consumed in three processes. If we convert these three processes also into the air base or dry basis process, we can consume at least 60, we can conserve at least 60 to 70% of the water. In rest of the area, water is recycled and those are the evaporation losses. There also number of things are coming, how to increase cycle of concentration in cooling tower by using various nanoparticles, nano things are coming. Even water treatment, new technologies are coming like nano based water treatment facilities in which we can ensure 100% recycling. So there are ample opportunities available, and I hope Indian steel industry should move in this direction so that before some restriction comes from the government side, from the regulatory side, we should take ourselves only as a proactive actions on these areas.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mukesh, for talking to us. And uh, uh, all these technologies are surely going to bring value to iron and steel sector. And waste management is definitely a critical subject where the companies must focus on. It doesn't matter if the company is large or small. Everyone, if you are generating pollutants, then you must also concentrate on waste management and should be open to adopt certain technologies that will not just help the industry at large, but obviously we have to take care of environment as well.
Thank you, Monica, and you have told very rightly, because time has come when we cannot keep our eyes closed, because
Yeah.
there is a focus on environment and this thing, pollutions from all corners. There is a lot of this thing visual is there from government side and other side also. We should not give any room, and we should, if we can focus on this thing, I think we can create a very good environment with the society also, where we can prosper and we can increase our productivity as well as prosperity. Thank you, Moni.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.